So pranams and welcome. Today is the fourth night, the fourth session on Arunachala Ramana Chintanam. Chintanam, we are doing reflection, deep introspection on the holy hill Arunachala and the voice of Arunachala Shiva, Bhagavan Ramana. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Prityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, first 3 days we focused on understanding the Tattva, Arunachala Tattva, and the Mahima. We are reading the Mahima of Arunachala, the glory of Arunachala. I'm just utilizing this book, and in between, I'm trying to add in more details and insights. However, most of them are my own insights. That's completely, entirely up to you how you would like to see it. You might just want to reflect it, and after reflection on what I'm saying, you might want to introspect and meditate on it and check it out. If it appeals to your viveka, if it appeals to your understanding, well and good. Otherwise, you might just, it's all entirely upon you. I'm just trying to share what made my journey easy after coming to Arunachala by the grace of Arunachala Shiva, who has been guiding us all these years. I wouldn't say just all these years, lifetimes. We have been guided lifetimes by Arunachala Shiva, the supreme consciousness, the supreme light, the divine love and light that we refer to is Arunachala Shiva. So we are blessed to be in the protection and guidance always. As we come nearer to this Tattva, we will start realizing that it is not now that we are protected. We were always eternally under the guidance. And it's the divine spirit, it's the divine consciousness that creates, sustains, annihilates under this divine play of consciousness. And we are just bits and pieces of that same consciousness now pretending to be someone else. Because when we pretend to be something else, the game begins, and then there is an interesting play that goes on. But ultimately, everything evaporates into the same consciousness, and we realize what a spectacular dream. You can say this is the whole Srishti is like the dream, a splendid dream for Shiva. Actually, it is in that manner, if you see. Anyways, I wouldn't go too deep into all that now because these are what we discuss and meditate and in our retreats. But basically, we must understand the basics of the whole tattvas. And what I'm trying to share here is the microcosmic view and the macrocosmic view. That Arunachala as a hill is on the macrocosm, which is there on the outside. It's in the Brahmanda, outside universe. But as I told you, the Brahmanda is nothing but the reflection of the inner Brahmanda, Pindanda. This Pindanda. This internal universe only reflects outside as the external universe. Whatever happens inside, you'll see is happening outside. Whatever is happening outside, you'll see is happening inside. All the mythological stories which you see, which happens outside, you will see its deep prevalence inside. When you go inside, it's the tattva, it is consciousness. When you come outside, it is the materialized forms. You see, everything outside is the materialized forms. These are manifested forms. The hill is a manifested form, the Saguna Rupa of gods and deities, are materialized form, the places of worship, the objects of worships like the yantras, the methods of worship, the tantras, mantras. You can see these all have different forms from the subtlest to the grossest. As I told you, these are the 4 stages. The subtlest is when there is nothingness and the emptiness or blankness or the silence is Paravani. That's the stage from where everything comes out and goes back into Paravani. Interestingly, Murugan's Vahana, what we talked yesterday, Murugan Kartikeya, Shiva's son, his Vahana is peacock. Interestingly, the peacock's name is Paravani. Here only you will get a hint that these objects, like the peacock or the rooster or the sphere, the whale, or any attribute that you see, even Shiva, including the Jata, the Bhasma, the Rudraksha, the Trishul, the Ganga, Ganges flowing, everything has deep, 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 deep relevance in our inner state of consciousness. And that's what we have been discussing all these years, where I'm trying to decode the entire Ramayana. I've been decoding this Mahabharata. Every character that's played is a part of our consciousness. If you can unravel the mystery there in the macrocosm, you can easily connect it and unravel the mystery in your own consciousness. How all these are representatives outside. So I was talking about the peacock, the Vahana. Peacock demonstrates the pride, symbolism of pride. Even the divine pride, the pride of having being established. The rooster or the cock represents the ego. The snake under the feet of the peacock demonstrates the Kundalini. So these are all symbolism. I wouldn't want to go into it very deeply now, but they are all very, very deep. All these sessions in the past 4-5 years, we have been doing all these things, right? So now when you project it on Arunachala, it's the same in that manner only. Everything is an internal. So I was saying the peacock's name is Paravani. Paravani is the state of silence, the state where there are vibrations in the silence. You can say there are teachings in the silence, or there is a song in that silence, a silent song. Something hidden even in the silence. That's Paravani. Vani means sound. Para is Purna, complete. You can see this word Para. Para is the ultimate. Ultimatum, the nothingness, the Shunya. Para Brahman, Para Shiva, Para Shakti, Paravani. We did these webinars, right? Paravani, Parashakti, and Parabhakti we did. So you can see Parabhakti, Purna Bhakti. Purna. The whole journey ends in Purna. That is why in the end we recite Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudhyachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The meaning of that is from the Purna, from the complete, you take out any bit, whether you divide it into 10 pieces or a billion pieces, whatever, the Purna still remains Purna. It cannot be separated. It cannot be incomplete. From the Purna, from the completeness you take out, or into the Purna you add anything, it's not going to get extra, or it's not going to deduct anything. It's always Purna. That's the Para. It's like the mirror. You look into the mirror, you see your face. You break the mirror down and let it break into 100 pieces, and you look at it, you'll see your face in every single tiny bit of mirror. That's the whole idea even of Shiva consciousness. What we say, Shivoham, I am Shiva. I am Shiva is a mental statement, but the realization when it happens, that's the Purna state. That's the complete state. When I realize, oh my God, I have been. playing the game myself. I left out to play. I am the part of that mirror, that one piece of mirror that held its own identity and thought itself as separate. But I am Purna. That separateness is the illusion. And that illusion is so strong. The strong, the illusion becomes strong because of the ego, the identity. That identity structure creates the illusion of separateness. And that illusion of separateness is so strong that whatever you see in this separateness, the diversities, that appears to be so real, though it is all integrated, fragmented parts. But that power by which it appears to be real is called Maya, which cannot be understood, which cannot be broken just by knowing it by the mind. It has to be realized. And that's why the spiritual practices, all the spiritual practices, all the paths that has been given by Shiva, the Anavopaya, the Shaktopaya, Shambhavopaya, the three different levels, all yantra, tantra, mantra, everything from the lowest, from the ritual to the highest of non doing anything. We understood the journey of Shakti. And the final Parvati, that there is nothing more to do. Your doing has created enough grace, and the doing has generated purity, Chitta Shuddhi. Now the doer itself dissolves. The Shuddhi is what? The ego. The I is so strong that makes one do. When the doer, ego is very, very strong, it makes the feeling that I am responsible. I am the creator, we say, right? That comes very strongly because the whole responsibility I take on my head. You can see all our problems in our life is because we take all the responsibility on our head. The more you take responsibility, why are you taking? The more the split, the more the ego tendency, the more the separation, feeling of separation, the more the doership is prominent, and the more you'll do. And it is the doer that suffers because the doer creates karma, the doer generates karma, and the doer reaps the fruit of that. The feeling of doership. I did it, so I get the fruits of it. This generation of karma and the return of the fruits, which yesterday we discussed, Ichcha Shakti, then the Kriya Shakti, and whatever manifests comes back to me as a return gift to the doer. Whoever does it, it simply returns back like the boomerang. Whoever throws it, it comes back straight there. So if the doership is not considered to be me, the karma phala doesn't come to me. That's the whole concept of when we say non-doership, because we get affected more and more by that's what results in the punarbi janmam, punarbi maranam cycle. Because I am the doer, I create and I receive back. When I receive back, rakta bija, I react again according to that karma that comes back to me. I either am excited about it, which creates that kind of karma, or I am depressed about it, which creates that kind of karma again. So rakta bijas, the multiplication of this karma, this results in punarpi janmam, punarpi maranam. So why doership? Why the doership? Because the separation is very strong. The identity that I am this identity, I am a father, mother, husband, wife, brother, sister, boyfriend, girlfriend, son, daughter, siblings, boss, employee, all these kind of identities that we carry, that is called the doer. That personality, that identity makes one a doer. And that is why we end up with so-called responsibilities in life. And we have nice names to give it. This is my dharma, that is my dharma. I often say, who gave you that dharma? God didn't give it to you. Today, whatever we call as my dharma, my family, my this, my that, and we sit brooding over it, or we sit giving an excuse to liberate from it, sitting in the name of dharma, continuing with that karma because we enjoy that. Who created that dharma? Who brought family into existence? You, in your previous births. Same, punarpi janmam, punarpi maranam. Karmic debts are created, and those karmic debts attracts you back into the soul family, They only become your friends, your enemies, and everything. And again, the whole game goes on and it keeps multiplying. So there is only one riddance out of it, is the realization of this whole mystery. And that's what Bhagavan Ramana is trying to point us again and again back. Who are you? You are not that identity, is what he's trying to say when he says, who am I? He says again and again, who am I? Find out who am I? Find out who am I? Are you that father, mother, husband, wife, brother, sister? Find out. So, in those deep inquiry called self inquiry, we sooner or later realize that I'm not that. First, when I question who am I might say I'm a brother, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a teacher, I'm a lawyer, I'm a scientist, I'm a great person, I'm a spiritual being, I'm a poor guy, I'm a criminal, whatever. All those identities. Who am I? First thing, a regular person will say, I am this. But deep contemplation again and again through various ways, repeated questioning will eventually reveal that you are not that. You are the one who is playing the role of that. You are simply that awareness that is present in the body, like we do in many of our sessions, shifting into awareness, where you realize I am the presence that's right now looking through the windows of my eyes. If you just become little aware, who are you? What are you looking at? You'll say, I am looking at this cell phone or this device. Are you really looking? Who's that you that you're saying? Me, my body, my eyes. If you look closely, observe closely, you'll see you are not the eyes, you are the one behind that eyes. You are peeping through the windows of your eyes. Become aware and see. You just become aware for a moment, you'll see, yes, I am peeping through my eyes. Where am I? I'm somewhere behind my eyes, but I'm definitely not the eyes. I am listening through my ears. I'm not the listener. I'm not listening. I'm not the ears. I'm listening through the ears. I'm not the ear by itself. I'm not the eyes. I'm not the eyes that sees. I'm someone who's seeing using the eyes, using the ears, using my skin for touch, using my nose for smell, using my tongue for taste. Who's the one who's tasting? It's not me, the body. Indirectly, when first, if you are not aware, you'll feel I am tasting it. I, the body, am tasting. I, the body, am seeing it. But if you become little aware, you'll take a step back. That step back only is what I call shift into awareness. From there, when you see through the window of your eyes, you can realize, yes, I am a presence. I exist all throughout my body. I can feel anything in me, outside of me. I can be contained in me, in this body. I can contain out of my body. I can expand wherever I think, wherever I expand my awareness, whatever I become conscious of, I can expand into those areas. So when you begin practicing more and more of this, like what we do in shifting into awareness, then this starts developing. From there, it becomes easy to do self-inquiry. Otherwise, directly doing self-inquiry means people usually sit with the mind and start thinking, who am I? That's wrong. You won't reach anywhere. It's not a mind process, like I told you. It's a deep introspection done through your awareness. For that, first you have to shift into awareness. If you do not shift, your mind will keep ignorantly, you might say, I'm this body, I'm this personality. But if you are little more having little spiritual knowledge, which we have gathered from here and there, the moment you ask your mind, who am I? You'll say, I'm not this body, I'm not this ego, I'm not this personality, I am the soul. Shivoham, I am the soul. Then again you'll ask, who am I? Answer will come, I am the soul. You'll keep playing these games, mind games. Because It is not a question of the mind. When you ask a question of the mind, your mind is immediately going to come with some preconceived notion, ready-made answers, which you have learned, the mind has learned by hearted from here and there. So it is not a mind game. Who am I? Self-inquiry. For that, you have to transcend first the mind. And for that, we are doing all these practices. The more you master it, the more simpler it will become. So, as we understood, this awareness, what we are talking about, is nothing but the Murugan Tattva. I am consciousness. I am conscious. Everything is conscious here, isn't it? What is not conscious? Even the rock is conscious, the plant is conscious, this mosquito is conscious, the cat is conscious, reptiles are conscious, birds are conscious, everything is conscious. But what is the difference between man and animals and reptiles and plants and minerals? Man is aware. Man has deep awareness which can expand. A reptile might be just conscious or aware just to the state of self protection. It exists because everything that exists wants to thrive, want to sustain. That is the law, Brahma, Vishnu. Brahma Tattva, anything that is created will have Vishnu next. That Tattva also is there. Brahma and Vishnu came together. We'll see how in this chapter. Brahma and Vishnu comes together. So whatever is created is going to sustain itself. You see, a plant is born, insect is born, the Shrishti is born, the earth is born. It knows how to sustain itself, isn't it? It doesn't come and just vanish off. It sustains. That sustainer is Vishnu, Hari. Everything sustains. You give birth to a baby, it knows how to sustain itself. Of course, it is sustaining itself. You look at mammals, you look at creatures. We might feel, oh, it needs parents, but mysterious is nature. The way it thrives, life thrives. The way the whole fauna, flora and fauna, the plant kingdom thrives. Amazing. Because the Vishnu Tattva is very strong in it. Perseverance, perseverance. So whatever is born sustains itself. We'll understand here how Brahma and Vishnu came together. And it developed the ego. Brahma thought it is superior, Vishnu thought it is superior. Because of the power, Brahma can go on creating. I'm very powerful. I can create anything that I want. Very, very powerful. These things, tattvas, go into our head. And that is what keeps us living forever. We feel we are never going to have an end. Isn't it? Look at us, thriving, desiring one after the other continuously. And it feels like I'm going to exist forever. Man is already planning for next 20 years, 200 years, 2000 years. Man is going on. It thrives. And sustenance also thinks, I'm going to sustain forever. See, I'm born. I can create, but I can sustain. And if you see, our whole life is just based on creation and sustenance, isn't it? Look at it deeply. We create and we sustain. We create and we sustain continuously. A new desire is created, you have to sustain it. A new relationship you want to create, you have to sustain it the moment. And the whole energy goes in creation, and then after that in sustenance. Nobody thinks about the third, Rudra. It's going to be destroyed. When we do not think about the third tattva and only are stuck in these two tattvas, Brahma and Vishnu, that I can create and I can sustain, that's called ignorance. And that's called asati. That develops into attachments. Because you're simply creating, see, we keep on producing and we want to just sustain it, never thinking that it is going to end one day. The one who creates, knowing it is going to end, will be detached from it. I feel that's how I've studied life. And anything that you want to create beforehand, if you know of its temporariness, you enter into a relationship, you get into a marriage, you produce a child, you get into a career, you get a job, you buy a new car, you buy anything, do anything. But at the back end, you know it is temporary. There is a Rudra Tattva also after Brahma and Vishnu. Asati will not happen. Because, because by the time you know, like right now, I am breathing, I'm sustaining myself, I'm living. But I do not know. Any moment I'll be gone. You know the Rudra is active. So if one can live with the third tattva, there is no asati. You're ready. The fear of losing goes away. So Brahma and Vishnu, what we are talking about, these two tattvas, they were born together, and that's what we can begin here. So this is the second chapter here, the origin of the hill. So I'm reading from the Glory of Arunachala. You can buy this book and read it. It has the whole Mahima. I'm not going fully deep in depth into it, but if you want to understand the whole of Arunachala, it is a very good book. But again, as I told you, macrocosm and microcosm. If you can connect your microcosm and then read it, then you will be absorbed. See, wherever in the retreats, when we do Giri Pradakshina, when we go around the hill, on top of the hill in the caves, we are going from both perspectives. We are not going just in the outside. We are not just glorifying things. Oh, that's a temple. Oh, that's an Indian. That's Gautama Rishi's old ashram spot. And we don't go in this manner, praising the externals and glorifying and glorifying. What is the this and that? There is no point in just keep on glorifying. That comes from the idea that you keep on glorifying and praising, some gods are going to be very happy with you and they will be pleased and they'll give you the boon. Most of us go in that manner. But seekers who are seeking liberation, who are seeking self-realization, we will go with this both angle. You look outside, but internally something happens. You look at the hill, internally something happens. You look at any of the lingers in the Giri Pradakshina route, something will happen inside. Because you are inwardly, your two eyes are looking out, but your third eye is looking inward. But if you know this in this manner, if you know the glory, now since you understand the whole thing, you can look there and reflect here. You can look at Ramana Samadhi and reflect here. When you look at Ramana, he's not a saint. Or he's not some Mahapurusha who came and lived in a loincloth, a great saint, and he went off. You know who he is. You know he's the voice of that Shiva Tattva. From the Paravani, the voice has to come till Vaikhari. So he was brought through all that step, like we discussed in the last 2 days. Paravani say it comes to Pashyanti, it becomes vibration. Paravani is complete silence. From the silence arises slowly a vibration, nada. And that's your body, your Sukshma Sharira. It starts vibrating at that level. And that's called the Pashyanti, the feelings, the emotions, pure emotions. And pure means, I don't mean sattvic. Pure means only emotion. There is no thought, there is no sight, there is no memory of it, nothing. Just a vibration, a feeling, that bhava. Those vibrations, the purest vibration is the I am vibration. It's just the blissful feeling. The bliss of samadhi, what you call Satchidananda. That Ananda is nothing but the spandana, that's Purna. Just the vibration. There is no thought, there is no mind, there is no seer, there is no other. It is just one vibration. So that is the rise from the silence, from the nothingness. That's the rise. That is what you call as the Omkara, the first one. After that, it breaks into Akshara, into bits and pieces. Like yesterday we discussed, Swaminatha, who's Murugan, becomes the guru of Shiva because he is telling the secret of Om to Shiva, the Omkara. He's telling the secret of that because Shiva doesn't know at that state. Because that state is the purified state where there is no knowing of the other. So when the awareness rises, that's the Murugan, when it is born, it becomes aware, self-aware. So that is why Murugan knows the secret of Om, because he is the awareness Tattva, and because through him, Shiva is aware of himself. You remove Murugan from Shiva, Shiva is simply Shiva. Shiva doesn't know he's Shiva. You look at Avadhutas. Avadhutas do not know they're Avadhutas. Because if they know Avadhuta, then they are two. And that's ego. Basically, knowing I am someone other than the pure essence is ego. So that pure essence is saying, I am this and that. I am Shiva. I am Avadhuta. I am the saint. That's ego. Shiva cannot have that ego, right? The purified, most supreme consciousness, the Parashiva, is simply there. So through this awareness of what you call as, name it as Murugan, it becomes, Shiva becomes self-aware. So through Murugan, through the sun, he is learning about himself. See how beautiful? Shiva is learning, having knowledge about himself, means self-knowledge through Murugan. That means self-knowledge can be only acquired through awareness. Are you getting it? So awareness becomes the guru of Shiva. Murugan becomes the guru of Shiva. So that state, in the start state, what we are, the nothingness, from the nothingness, the nada, the vibration, and that outside what you're talking, inside also it happens. When you are completely in blank state, in deep samadhi, there is no awareness of anything. And then a vibration comes. The feeling of I exist. You don't know I am so and so, nahi hai, but just the existence. An existence starts. That is called the I amness. And that is the Bhava Sharira. That is the Nada Sharira. That vibration is after Paravani, the Pashyanti. And then that becomes a thought. That vibration only then gets a form. It takes a form of a thought. The thought comes in. And that state where, see, now there was nothing, no awareness, then one awareness of existence, and then the thought appears, means I and that, two happens, split. I am aware of that thought, Madhyama level. See the speech, how it is taking form. From nothing, Paravani, it takes a vibration. From vibration, it appears into a thought. It takes the format of a thought, Madhyama level. From the Madhyama level, it becomes this Vaikhari. Vaikhari is, it becomes words. What I am speaking is words. This word, if you can trace it through awareness, just a few seconds before it coming out of my mouth was a thought. And just a few seconds or some moment, Shana, before the thought, it was vibration. And before vibration, a few Shana, it was in the Paravani state, means in the unconscious state, unmanifest. But it was there. From there, the ripples arised, the vibration came into my mind. From the mind, the thought took the shape of the words, and it becomes Vaikhari. This is what I mean by Bhagavan Ramana. To talk the word of Shiva, which is Paravani, it has to take this form and come through his mouth. Shiva Tattva chose Bhagavan Ramana for this. Are you getting the whole idea now? That's how the whole essence of the Shiva Jnana, all these scriptures, all these things that have come from Bhagavan Ramana's mukha, from his beingness, from his body, from his instrument called Ramana, that Tattva worked. That's how this instrument was used. A purified instrument, attracted like a magnet there, and illuminated. So, through him, why? Because he is a purified. See, we are not on that purity level, because When we talk, we have our minds, we have our concepts, we have our old beliefs, we have some philosophies, our cultures, traditions, so many things are there. So when that Paravani comes through this mind, it gets polluted by all these things. So what comes out of our mouth is mixed. The purer the mind, that is called Chitta Shuddhi, the more purer the mind, the emptier the mind, the clearer the flow. You're getting it? Nirmal Man, Nishal Man. Through that flows Vedas. That is why they say the words that flow out of a purified Chitta is like Veda, because it's flowing without interruption. It is spontaneously throwing out. It is not jumbling or catching up or making some sense and programming something and sending out. It's neither filtering, editing, chopping. That is why you look at all the vanis of this Mahatmas, Mahapurushas like Nityananda, just some words dropping out. No grammar in it, no nothing in it. Later it's edited, but it flows. So that's what I mean by Bhagavan Ramana being the voice of Arunachala. So, this chapter, the origin of the hill, here at Arunachala, Shiva shines forth as the yogi supreme, with his forehead smeared with the 3 lines of sacred ashes and adorned by a patch of musk, clad in a loincloth, wearing a brilliant garland, the invincible serpent on his body, and the crescent moon on his head. These are more in a very poetic form, but again, that's the bhava and bhakti, the way you describe the forms of the Lord ecstatically. You're describing it like the Saundarya Lahari, or you take the Lalita Sahasranama, the 1,000 different names of the mother, or the Saundarya Lahari, you're explaining the beauty of the mother, the eyes, the eyebrows, the eyelashes, every specific detail, the earrings and the nose rings. It's just love in a very poetic form. So this is how these documents, the scriptures, are written in that bhava. Vyasa said, the holy men of Naimisaranya asked Sutta, we desire to know from you about the greatness of Arunachala. Please tell us. Sutta therefore thereupon described it as follows. So Sutta says, in the former times, Sanaka asked Brahma the same question. Sanaka is the son of Brahma. I shall repeat what Brahma narrated to Sanaka. Listen attentively. The sins of those who listen with faith to this narrative will be destroyed. Once upon a time, Sanaka, with hands folded in salutation, asked Brahma, O creator of the universe, Lord of Devas, thou art known through the study of Vedas, four-faced one. I have by thy grace acquired the ability to know everything. Thou art the universal Guru. Thy grace, the knowledge of Shiva or Shivajnana, the essence of the Vedas has become clear with thy grace. O ocean of mercy, the divine lingas of Shiva on earth installed by human beings or siddhas are all of a concrete form. Kindly tell me which of these lingas found in the island of Jambu. Jambu is one of the 9 islands or the land masses into which the earth is divided according to the Hindu mythology, in which India is situated in this island as the purest and the best, self created, self effulgent, and has the virtue of destroying desire, greed, anger, delusion, pride, and jealousy. The Jambu Deep, what is called. So he's asking, kindly tell me which of these lingas found in the island of Jambu is the purest and the best. Ocean of compassion. Kindly tell me as to which of these can, by merely thinking of it, destroy all the sins and grant the eternal state of Shiva. He's simply telling there are so many Shivalingas on this island of Jambudvipa. But which linga is it? That just by thinking of it, merely thinking of it, all the sins can get destroyed and I can be granted the eternal state of Shiva. Which linga is that? Kindly tell me. Please enlighten me about that linga, which is the primal cause of the world and which truly represents the imperishable splendor of Shiva, and the sight of which makes one feel that the supreme aim of life has been fulfilled. So, I cannot sit explaining all these things. If you're not understanding, then you have the recording, you can go through it, or you can take the book also and read it. In simple words, he's telling kindly enlighten me about that linga, which is the first, is the primal cause of the world, due to which. So he's not asking about the concrete lingas. He's asking about that linga which created this world. Tell me about that linga, which truly represents the splendor of Shiva and the sight, darshan matra se, which can make one feel the supreme aim of life is fulfilled. When you just look at it, darshan also is enough and you feel you are fulfilled. On hearing these words, eager words of Sanaka, Brahma was pleased. Sitting on the lotus, he meditated on Shambhu, which is another name for Shiva, for a long time and was immersed in bliss. In this state, he had a vision of Shiva as he had formerly revealed himself as a common column of light. The four faced Brahma lost awareness of the surroundings. By Shiva's grace and on his instructions, Brahma emerged from his trance and noticed Kumara. Kumara is Sanaka, standing in a worshipful attitude. So when Sanaka asked Brahma, Sanna asked Brahma, which is that linga? Just tell me. Brahma closed his eyes and meditated upon Shambhu, Shiva, because he had formerly seen him as the column of light. So he meditated on that light and soon he lost his awareness of the surroundings. But by Shiva's grace and on his instruction, Brahma emerged from his trance. The Paravani spoke to him. Get out of the trance. He came out of the trance and he noticed Sanaka standing in a very worshipful attitude. Means eagerness to know. See, these all are demonstrative of that eagerness of the sadhaka. How deep, how pure intention, and how intense yearning, mumukshatva, how much strong it is. So he opens the eyes and he sees Sanaka standing in a very worshipful attitude, with hair standing on his end and tears of joy brought forth by the vision of Shiva. He spoke in a faltering voice. So Brahma, when he closed his eyes, he had this deep vision, oneness with that light and with that joy and tears. He explained to his son, O son, you have made me remember the ancient yoga of Shiva. You have developed supreme devotion to Shiva as a result of great austerities. Those pure souls who possess unceasing devotion to the eternal Shiva purify the entire world by their lives. To talk or associate or to sport with the devotees of Shiva removes all sin. Even the mere remembrance or sight of them removes all sins. Now I shall describe how Shiva, the ocean of grace, manifested as Arunachala, the light of consciousness. From the supreme effulgence, which is the eternal Shiva, Narayana or Vishnu and I were born in accordance with his desire. Means I, Brahma, and Narayana, Vishnu, we both were born, what does he say? In accordance with his desire, the Supreme Lord's, that's Shiva's desire. This is beautifully explained in Shiva Sutras. So Icha, the whole game falling into play. It is the freedom of choice of that Tattva, Supreme Consciousness, to experience itself, Swaicha. So it makes a Swaicha. From there, it's born. So here you can see, he's saying that Narayana and I were born in accordance with his desire. Both of us manifested spontaneously. So they were born. Once, out of egoism, we engaged in an argument and started a fight. Seeing who? Brahma and Vishnu. Seeing the terrible rage into which we had fallen while quarreling, the Lord reflected. Why should there be a destructive fight between these two? As to who is greater, both are fighting between each other. Brahma and Vishnu, like I explained, these are tattvas in us. This is macrocosm, what we are reading. Microcosm is Brahma and Vishnu are born from me. I am Shiva, Shivoham. From me only, the Brahma and Vishnu are born. The power to create and the power to sustain. So both these start fighting. The creator aspect of me says I can create anything I want. The Vishnu aspect in me says I will sustain it. When these two are strong only, we go on creating and sustaining, creating and sustaining. So the Lord from within is saying, Shiva, why should these two quarrel as to who is greater? And Shiva says, if I do not reveal myself immediately to both and stop their fight, the world will cease to exist because both are fighting here. The world is to be created, right? That's the first step. In Shiva Sutras, the Panchakritya says the 5 functions of Shiva, Sadashiva, the Panchamukhi Shiva, is the Panchamukhi Shiva is the start of the whole creation, the beginning, whom we refer to as the Ishvara, the God, the supreme creator, the sustainer of the world, the ordainer of the world. You must have heard this in many of Bhagavan Ramana's words, the ordainer, the one which is ordained to us. You know, we talk so much about Upadesh Saram, Kartura Jnanaye Praptaye Phalam Karma Kim Param Karma Tajjadam, the first verse. Everything is as ordained by the ordainer, is the exact word. So that ordainer, this is that Ishvara, what we are calling. But this Shiva, what we are calling, the light, the pure effulgence, is beyond it. From there comes all the creation. Are you getting it? So the Panchakritya is Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, 3 Krityas. Fourth, as I told you, Tirobhava is that tendency where Shiva, out of which, loses his state of Shivahood. Because if he stays in that non-dual state of Shivahood, there is no play. For the play to allow, he has to step out of that, and he has to. That's where the ego births itself. There's a separation, and through that ego, which is Shakti, Shakti separates, splits. That is Ardhanareshwara, that split which is happening. So Shiva is experiencing now the play through Shakti. Shakti goes on creating from there. But Shiva doesn't create anything. You're getting the whole thing? Shiva is a pure effulgence, what we call Swayam Prakashita Shiva, is the pure light. And Vimarsha is the Shakti aspect. Vimarsha is the experiences, the creations, the vibrations, the movement. Understand this. The Shiva Tattva is not moving. It's just the pure supreme consciousness, eternal witness, pure awareness. In that awareness, everything moves, that Shakti moves. So Shiva doesn't move. But that Shakti is a part of Shiva only. Now, because Shakti cannot move without Shiva's presence. There's a fuel, there's a light. So Shakti is alive because of Shiva, and Shakti creates, but Shiva is experiencing through the Shakti everything. That's how the whole play of consciousness is, where we say Shakti and Shiva are both alike. They cannot be, they are inseparable. For talk, we are saying they are separated, they are separate. They cannot be separate. Even if Shakti is in the Buladhara, it has the essence and effulgence of Shiva. That is why it is surviving and thriving. It is creating, it goes down, it comes up. By whose grace can the Shakti remember and come up? The light. Without electricity, Can any of these things function? By itself, you call whatever these gadgets, without electricity, it cannot function. So to even think that it is lost is ignorance. Even to think that we are lost. Oh, where we are ignorant, we are helpless, we don't know when grace will come. I must work myself hard to get the grace of God. This is all ignorance. Who's the one who's praying? By whose power are you praying? I am the Shakti, I am the ego. I was sitting here with this identity. But with what power do I know I am this identity? I am aware that I am someone. How do I know? Where is this awareness coming from? That's Shiva Tattva. The light by which I go around playing, lost, and feeling deluded is part of the play. That is the Tirobhava nature of Shiva, where he is allowed himself to be lost. So that's how the ego keeps developing, and this we, the pure soul consciousness, keeps shrinking. The Shiva Tattva reduces, the ego Tattva increases. The play has begun. The Shishti is gone creating. The more farther it goes, the ego develops and the Shiva Tattva goes down. That is why today we sit and say, we are the ego here and Shiva is one dot here. He has become a dot now. He means what? We are only the dot. We are that pure awareness, but since the awareness has now bloated into this ego has become large, and I feel I am this personality, but the real Tattva in me, the Shiva Tattva, is reduced to a tiny dot. Now that dot is always going to exist. That's the whole play in the Tirobhava, the fourth Kritya of Shiva. When the dot reaches the finest point, that is when the elastic is pulled to the maximum extent, it has to return back. This elasticity which is there, that is the play of consciousness. The creation, the sustenance goes to an end. When it goes to the end point of lachilapan jitna hota hai, then something happens. Pralay. That activates the fifth kritya of the Panchakritya, that is called Anugrah Shakti. So when life goes to an extreme, Anugrah Shakti activates and then the reverse journey begins from there. That is what this elastic you can call from Sahasrara, the maximum pole is still the Muladhara. Or you can say from the highest Brahmaloka to the Patal Loka. From the Patal Loka, it reverses. And the whole creation starts ascending back, rewinding back. So Shiva only goes extreme to an end and becomes the most ignorant. But that dot, that reactivation, Anugrah Shakti, starts sparkling, and slowly the spark starts becoming bigger and bigger. That's what we call as evolution, what we call as progress. So as a sadhaka progresses, the light starts expanding. That is only we call the Shiva expanding. The ego shrinks, reverse journey. So the light becomes more, the ego starts shrinking, and then you can put all the stories in it. Mahishasura, the killing of demons, and this and that, my troubles, then my problems. Problems is that Anugrah Shakti, yesterday what we explained. When I go, I am the Brahma, I go on creating, I go on sustaining, maintaining billions of janmas, all experiences, this species, that species, everything. And finally, when the rubber band reaches to the end point, something happens. Problems begin. So you see, in our life also, we go on expanding until one incident happens in life. It might be a death of a loved one, it might be a disease, it can be an accident, it can be some trauma, it can be a loss, something that jolts us out. And we call that suffering. Suffering after suffering after suffering is called the Anugrah Shakti getting activated. So all suffering is nothing but the Shakti path of Shiva. Every suffering is grace. That is the fifth Kritya getting activated in life. So, all these sufferings, what we are crying about, we'll not understand now. Later, we'll understand it is a part of the play itself. Because until there is suffering, you are not going to return back. Endlessly, you will go on creating. But there is a time where it has to return. That is called pralaya. So, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesha, when it activates, how does it activate? What does the story say in the macrocosm world? Shiva opens his third eyes and the fire comes out and destroys everything. That Shiva opening the third eye is this third eye is awareness, Murugan. When you become aware, where am I? What am I doing? What is this mundane existence? Morning to evening, I'm eating, surviving, reproducing. Again, repeat. What am I existing for? What is the meaning of life? How long will this go? What is all this life about? What is this world? Why is it made? What are all these things? Temporary. Why are they temporary? Why do I come? Why do I even exist? What happens after I die? Questions start. That is the Tirobhava kicks. The starter. What is that called? The lighter. Gas stove lighter. The flame has not yet caught. The clicks are going on. So all these things start sparking something in us. That sparking is that fire. Your viveka starts growing. And as your viveka starts becoming stronger, you see through the illusion, you get more wisdom, path of wisdom. You start realizing what is the truth. Your viveka will tell you what is right, what is wrong, what is real, what is false. And as you see the reality and as the falseness in front of you, you see the falseness, they start crumbling down. Doesn't it not happen to us as seekers? It starts crumbling down. Everything starts crumbling down slowly. One by one, everything in front of our eyes only, it starts crumbling down. Then you lose interest. That is pralaya. The more the wisdom, your third eye opens, because you are only Shiva, we are Shiva. The forgotten, deluded Shiva we are right now. So as this third eye opens, pralaya happens. When pralaya happens, destruction happens. When destruction happens, you're going back. That's the Mahameru. You came and invested till here, everything. Now you're going up and you're reducing. The journey is going back. And that is called the fifth Anugrah Shakti, Panchakritya. When it activates, the Shiva Tattva grows in us, the ego reduces in us, till one day, finally, it is just the opposite, full blown Shiva. The ego becomes a dot. That final dot is that point of I amness, what we talk about. That is the final point where Nisargadatta Maharaj is giving all his practices. You can come till that point of what I explained from the Paravani, when the existence appears at that point. So we can put efforts only till there and come to that point of I amness. You cannot go beyond. That is why Shakti is sitting here and asking Shiva, how can I merge with you? And Shiva says, give up all doing now. Don't try to merge also. Don't do anything. Give up all your meditations. Just be. So that is the time when the Purna, the completeness of that is established in the being. Shiva Tattva pulls, absorbs. That's the final pull. And that's what we call as moksha. I think I went too much. Where was this? Okay. So Shiva says, if I do not reveal myself immediately to them, because they are fighting Brahma and Vishnu. See, what has happened is, this whole thing, what I told you, good I told you this, because this will be clearer to understand. The whole thing is, there is a icha to witness, to experience. But in the beginning only, there is the ego, birth of ego, shuru ho gaya, Brahma and Vishnu. They are starting. So Shiva says, if I don't interfere now, the game will not proceed further. See, that's what he exactly is saying. If I do not reveal myself immediately to both and stop their fight, the world will cease to exist. There is no further creation. These two have lost their have in their anger lost their senses, do not know the Vedic truth that my glory transcends everything. They are thinking they are superior, but they do not know it is my glory. Out of my light they are born, but they do not know, they are not aware. Like, for example, us, we are born. We are not aware from where we are born. We are born from the light. We think we are born from our parents. But we are actually born from the light. And we are fighting here. Brahma and Vishnu. I am the creator. I am the sustainer. I can do, I can sustain. And there is that light saying, they are born out of me. Each creature considers itself superior to every other creature. The ignorant who cannot realize and concede equality or superiority of another must necessarily suffer defeat and fall. How beautiful. What I keep on saying, give up diversity completely from your system. No Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, don't fall into that bracket. It's completely myth. At this level of understanding, where Shiva Sutra's first verse is Chaitanya Mahatma. Chaitanya, it is everything, Atma, the souls, all the souls is nothing but Shuddha Chaitanya. Be it a Muslim, but be it a Sikh, be it a Isai, be it anyone. So even to get into that contradiction, to get into that illusion of separateness will keep you very far from this tattva. So beware. You might be tempted to jump into what the world is ignorantly doing. Seekers of this, you'll never see Bhagavan Ramana, Bhagavan Nityananda, Swami Samartha, Shirdi Sai Baba, all these people anywhere having any diversity between these religions. Huh? Not even caste. No Brahman, Vaishya, Shudra, Kshatriya. Absolutely no iota. That is the state of Avadhuta. Where Purna, Om Purnamada, Purnamidam. Purna it is. They're saying only Shuddha Chaitanya. So those who are very deeply practicing towards self-realization, towards Arunachala Tattva, must first give up diversities of any sort. See, here he is very clearly telling each creature considers itself superior to every other creature. Isn't this? Shiva is telling this. Why should we create superiority? Even on the path, I am this, I am belong to this path, that path is not, we come to this path. This path is glory. We are all bhaktas of Shiva. Look at that. We are the supreme. That's all ego. Don't ever fall into it. And that's what he's saying. Each creature considers itself superior to every other creature. The ignorant who cannot realize and concede equality and superiority of another must necessarily suffer defeat and fall. Shiva says there is a fall in that. It cannot go for long. They will fall. Whoever thinks brings this delusion of superior inferiority, I am great, that one is low, will fall. I shall reveal myself in a definite form somewhere in the world so that even a mean human being can attain me the moment he thinks of me. So he's planning that I shall take some form somewhere. Why the form? Because he's seeing in the start only this. So what about the creation when it goes till the end? But all complications. He says, I shall find some form in some corner. He's talking about Arunachala Hill. Some form that even a mean human being can attain the moment he thinks of me can attain me. I'll take such a form somewhere. That's in the part of the plan, divine plan. Having decided, having so decided, the eternal Shiva manifested himself as a column of fire before us. Who's telling this? Brahma is telling to Sanaka. The Lord having decided this, so supreme consciousness. Now these are not talks and stuff. It's all the vibes. It's all, you can say, you cannot understand what Shiva is planning and thinking. This is all Paravani. How are the Vedas written? By the rishis? Through Paravani. You have heard those stories, right? Where they sat and what flowed through them, they just wrote the Vedas that flowed. That is Paravani, where the mind is not involved. So, having decided so, the eternal Shiva manifested himself as a column of fire in front of us, Brahma and Vishnu. The column of fire transcended all the worlds and its limits and could not be perceived. It's everywhere. It's not having a definite form or shape and size and geography. It transcended all the worlds. Blinded by the sight, both of us stood still. Who? Brahma and Vishnu. We became confused and unnerved on seeing that blazing column of effulgence. Then there arose a voice in the air. A voice in the air means Akashvani, you can say. See, that also is Akashavani. Paravani is silent. Akashvani is still heard through the ether. Sound that is moving through the ether. There arose a voice in the air, children, why do you fight? Shiva alone knows your strength and weakness. The form of Shambhu has now appeared before you as a column of effulgence. He who finds out the beginning or the end of it is greater than the other two. So Shiva's voice penetrates through them and says, okay, nothing to fight. Only Shiva alone knows your weakness and strength. You don't know what is your weakness and strength. These are all internal sadhana. Again, I am Brahma, I am Vishnu. So the voice, Pravani, penetrates through us and says, it knows our weaknesses and our strength. Shiva alone, that light alone knows it. So it gives a test now. Okay, if you feel you are the greater than each other, then do one thing. Find out the beginning and end of my effulgence, of this fire, of this light. Whoever finds out the beginning or the end of me, the light, shall win, is greater. Now, since they are in the ego state, they will take up the challenge, obviously, because they want to prove who's greater. Upon hearing these words, we stopped fighting, Brahma and Vishnu. To discover the limits of Shambhu in the shape of the beginningless and the endless column of fire, one of us decided to trace the beginning and the other the end. Okay, so they distributed. So you go and find the beginning, I go and find the end. Like a child who tries to seize the moon reflected in the water, each of us began to measure the supreme effulgence in order to understand it. बच्चों का खेल जैसा, like a small innocent ignorant kid. They are trying to measure light which is infinite. For this purpose, Vishnu, in the form of a huge boar is a pig, began to dig the earth vigorously to find the lower end. So Vishnu said, I'll go and find the bottommost, where the end. So he took the form of a pig and started digging the earth. I, means Brahma, took the shape of a swan and soared swiftly to find its summit. So he flew up to see the beginning of the light. Madhava, or Vishnu, bored into the earth and went beyond, but found that the column of fire still went lower. There was no end to it. Even after seeking for millions of years, it was not possible for him to find out the source of that beginningless column of fire. So it went on for millions of years trying to find the end. Means it is saying the infiniteness. You cannot find a border to the Supreme. There is no end to Chidakasha. It cannot be measured. Therefore, Vishnu became dispirited and discouraged. He was weary and tired and he was forced to return. So Vishnu returned back, he couldn't find. Vishnu, then Vishnu, whose intelligence is immeasurable, sought refuge in Shiva, the universal refuge, and began to think thus. Ah, on account of my immense stupidity caused by my ego, I forgot my supreme self, my Lord. He is truly the supreme Shiva, the source of all the devas, the Vedas, and the worlds. I was born out of him who is beginningless and endless. Assuming the form of a brute, means a stupid person, I tried to gauge Shiva, who is of such greatness. Now, Vishnu is intelligent, so he is immediately reflecting and realizing this. By the grace of Shambhu, self knowledge has dawned upon me. When Lord Shambhu chooses to protect someone, the person will immediately and spontaneously lose his ego and gain wisdom. I am no longer strong enough to worship the universal Guru. Therefore, I shall surrender unto him. Vishnu praised Shiva in this manner, meditated upon him, and by the grace of Lord, he regained the surface of the earth. So he had gone to find the extreme end and got lost. And then he realized, like a stupid being, I am trying to measure that which is immeasurable. So he says, that which I am born of, I shall meditate upon it. I am no longer strong to fight this. So he says, I shall surrender. And the moment he did that, he meditated upon this light. By the grace of that light or Shiva, he came to the surface of the earth. He was brought back immediately. As for me, this is Brahma. I was flying for many years until my eyes became dim and my wings tired. So Vishnu came back. Brahma is still flying. The splendid effulgence of Shiva in the form of linga of light rose higher and higher. Siddhas who found me trying to reach the immeasurable top of the supreme effulgence exclaimed, ah, this is nothing but ignorance. He is still putting forth his efforts. Even when the body is about to fall, the ego does not fade away. Even though his wings are broken and weary, his eyes are dim, he is bound by the vain delusion that he can discover the limits of the limitless effulgence. Do you see, this is nothing exactly outside story, it is something about us. So Brahma was flying. We fly, right? So while flying, all the siddhas and other beings were seeing this, telling this is nothing but stupidity, ignorance. Still putting efforts. What does he say here? Even when the body is about to fall, the ego doesn't fade away. This is our condition. Even when the body is withering away, old age, disease, whatever, still the ego is very strong. It still believes, it still wants to contain, it still has desires. It still wants to show off its strength, even at that moment. Even though his wings are broken and weary and his eyes are dim, he is bound by the vain delusion that he can discover the limit. So, it's being pointed out to the ego tattva, the ego of desires, the ability to create. So I say, no, at one level that I am the creator goes off. You come to know there is no creator. Who is the creator? This divine effulgence out of which this creator is born. That creator out of which this creator is born. Whose will? Who's more smarter? If I keep on saying I am doing everything, I can do everything, then the other celestial beings will smile and say, this is the heights of stupidity. Even when the body is weakening, it still doesn't give up. Vishnu, who became similarly despondent, regained good sense by Shiva's spontaneous grace and retraced his steps. Vishnu immediately, by the grace of Shiva, he retraced back. What does it say? See, here it says, by the grace of Shambhu, Shiva, self knowledge has dawned on me. This is what Bhagavan Ramana is trying to explain many times. Bhagavan Ramana is saying many times that it is by the grace of God only self realization happens. It's not by our efforts. That efforts is the feeling. See this Brahma, efforts, Vishnu, efforts. Now, Vishnu has realized my efforts is useless. I'm digging millions of years. That is the effort we are putting. My sadhana, I'll do this. I'll go and attain self realization. Though he is smarter, he realized, he gave up, he meditated, surrendered, and he received the grace. He came back. So that's what it's saying here. By the grace of Shambhu or Shiva, self knowledge has dawned upon me. When Lord Shambhu chooses to protect someone, the person will immediately and spontaneously lose his ego and gain wisdom. That's this wisdom. When the wisdom is gained, the ego means ignorance. The same thing what I said. By the grace of Shambhu means Anugrah Shakti. When that spark ignites and it becomes larger, the ego will shrink. It will lose. Ego will lose its power, and the wisdom will shine forth. This wisdom is what opens the doorway to Shiva. That is why this path, this Viveka, this path is called as the path of wisdom. That is why this fourth path is known as the Jnana Marga. We have the Karma Yoga, we have the Bhakti Yoga, we have the Raj Yoga, and we have the Jnana Yoga. That is why in Upadesaram, Bhagavan Ramana clearly defines these paths, four paths, which finally comes and ends in Jnana Marga, Jnana Huna. This is not the bookish Gyan, this is not the Gyan from the Guru, this is not Gyan that is received from outside. This is the inner Gyan that comes only through the grace of Shambhu, Shiva. When God is pleased, when God is pleased means when Chitta Shuddhi happens. Pleased by my efforts, I put efforts in the start. So after that, when my effort bring forth the grace, to win the grace you need to put efforts, and they are interconnected. You put efforts and you get grace, but by the power of grace only you can put efforts. You see that? They are both interlinked. It is only by grace you can put efforts. This effort, what we are sitting to contemplate, do this or do any meditation, go to Arunachala, this, that, we are not the doers. There is a grace that is needed. There is grace needed to even contemplate here, sit there and meditate upon. Without grace, you will not have interest. So I often tell you guys, the members of Shifting into Awareness, that don't underestimate this interest that you have. Never let this flame die. I mean, you can't let it die also. If it is the grace, it will keep on burning only. But just for our egoic understanding, that grace does it. So the more deep you have interest into this path, the more is the inner calling. That's the grace of Shambhu. He protects, and eventually he will make one lose the ego, the ignorance, and spontaneously gain wisdom. That's what it means here. So Vishnu realized this, that only by his grace I can do that, and he won the grace because he surrendered. No efforts. All his efforts stopped at one point. That's what I'm trying to say here so many times. That efforts will go after a certain stage. You can't be putting efforts all your way. You cannot attain self-realization by efforts. I can reiterate from the scriptures here, many other scriptures, many other sayings from Bhagavan Ramana said this, Nisardat Maharaja said this. Effort can never bring you self-realization. In Devi Kalotra, Shiva is telling Parvati, efforts of any kind cannot gain you self-realization. Effortlessness. Effort means the ego is there, I is there. When I is there, God doesn't work. When is given up, God takes over. As simple as that. So this path of wisdom, what we are understanding, Arunachala is non-doership. No doing. All the efforts are gone here. Now surrender. But it cannot happen with the mind. Oh, I give up everything. That's not right. It's not right. Oh, now I just drop everything. You try to do it, you'll not be able to drop. That's all the grace of Shiva only, that progress also. Eventually, you will be made to drop. Bhala hua mori gagri phuti, मैं पनिया बरन से छूटी मोरे सर से टली बला भला हुआ मोरी माला टूटी मैं राम जपन से छूटी मोरे सर से टली बला. Good Lord, my pot broke. Now I am saved from the efforts of filling this pot again and again. Pot only broke, Kabir says. Then he says, Good Lord, my rosary beads broke, the mala in my neck. That broke. Good, it broke. My Ram bhajan se chuti. Now I don't have to sit moving this beads. This is effort. More sar se tali bala. This headache is gone. Now Kabir is not saying, oh, this is hectic. Let me throw this. What will I do now? No way. That's not what it is saying. You do so much of japa, you do so much of japa, you do so much of japa, japa, karte, it becomes ajapa, ajapa. Then the fingers stop moving. Then internally. That is what Kabir says, Mala karu, Mala feru, na kar japu, na mukh se bolu Ram. Mala feru, na kar japu, na mukh se bolu Ram. I will not rotate the beads. I will not chant the name of Ram through my mouth. Ram hamara hame jape ham payo visram. Now I will not chant. I will not move the beads because Ram is chanting in me. You see? Ram hamara hame jape ham payo visram. Now I am at rest. I am at rest means that I, ego. The ego, the effort doer is now taking rest because from within the Lord is chanting. Now this state is what is very important. Now you cannot say, I'll give up the mala, I'll give up my sadhanas, I'll give up all the yantra, tantra, mantra. And do what? You cannot be empty-minded. It has to be replaced by the grace. You do it so much that that grace overtakes you. Now it's like a dynamo. It starts working from inside. Now the effort is not needed. It's like the ignition of a car. In the start, you have to press the ignition. There is an effort. But once the engine starts, do you keep on rotating or do you give up? Then the engine takes on. That is the meaning of this. When I say the progression from all these margas in Upadesaram, what is mentioned, slowly from doing, it will take you to non-doing. Slowly, all the doing. The moment your interest to do will go, all the karmakanda, all the rituals, all the external practices will drop by itself. That is why Kabir says, Bala hua mari mala tuti. He doesn't say Bala hua mari mala todi. Difference. He says, my rosary broke. It broke. He doesn't say I broke it. So this has to fall off. Whatever we are inspired to do, do. That's it. There is no rule what to do, what not to do. Don't go by rule. Go by your inner call. That is the grace is making you do it. You want to do puja, love doing it. Go and do it. Enjoy doing it. There is no rule. Oh, I heard Shiva says in Devi Kalotra, give up all your puja. No, it's not my time yet. I am loving. I am enjoying. I am feeling more connected when I do puja. That's my worship. That is my state of sadhana. I do it. Till one day, this rotation is not needed. I can keep the object there and I can still get the same devotion, objectless devotion. The day that happens, I know I don't need it. That's this whole story, what we are understanding. So I'll finish this chapter and then stop. One more big para is there. Okay, now Brahma is telling that when he's flying higher and higher, all the celestial beings are saying, look at his ignorance, his body is about to fall, his eyesight is dimming, but he's not giving up. That's talking about us only. If a finite being desires to realize the effulgence, which is the origin of Brahma and the Devas, he should dive deep within himself and meditate on Shiva, the Supreme Self, who will give him the knowledge so that his ego will vanish. So, direct path. Ramana Bhagavan always says, this is the direct path. He tells direct path. Who am I? Inquire. And he says, abide in the self. Self is Shiva. Now, Shiva, don't think he's a Hindu god and all that. Huh? Please, never bring that. It is the supreme effulgence, again and again, is the supreme light. We are naming it as Shiva. Nama Rupa, we are giving it something. But that is beyond name. You cannot put it into a bracket of a name. You cannot even think, you cannot create a Vikalpa and imagine, oh, it is Shiva. I know many of us, when we say Shiva, we are talking about the Jatadhari, the blue person. It is not that. That is Shankara. That's the Saguna Rupa. We are talking about light, effulgence here. Arunachala is light, fire. So that doesn't come. Even it is not that fire. It is not the physical light. You might say the sunlight. I've told this many times. When we say light, it is imperceivable by the mind. It is the light by which your thoughts shine. You say, this room, I can see everything. This is the physical light. But when you close your eyes, you can still see the objects inside. You can think of anybody, you can think of a place, and you can see the whole picture. You can see what happened in your life, a memory of the past. You can replay it exactly. But when you replay it, are you seeing not images? That image needs light. That light by which you can see that. That is this, what we're talking about, Shiva. So it is not even this physical light. Don't get that wrong. When you say fire, it is not exactly the physical fire. जो आग, what we see, ये सब कल्पनाएं. We create images. Like you show the hill, on top of the hill there is fire. That is a symbolic form. That fire, that gross fire is not the actual form. That light by which you can see, right now, you close your eyes and think of Arunachala. See, you're seeing some image. You're thinking, it's a vikalpa. That light by which you can see, that is Shiva. That light by which you can see this light. That light by which you can see that fire. Not the fire, but that light, that prakasha, that illumination, that projection, by that awareness by which you can see. That is Shiva. So, if a finite being, means referring to us, desires to realize the effulgence, which is the origin of Brahma and Deva, he should dive within himself and meditate on Shiva, the Supreme Self. Not Shiva as a form, the Supreme Self. Who will give him the knowledge so that his ego will vanish? So, who is the giver of knowledge? As I told you again and again, it comes from within. No teacher can give you from outside. No scripture can give you from outside. And this is what I'm trying to tell. In these past years, when I used to sit and meditate on the Arunachala, many things came out. That only came out as shifting into awareness. The whole thing that I'm sharing is coming from a fountain which I feel has no source. I cannot find it because I have not read most of the things. It comes out during the corona times, what you're saying and all that. It's not read from somewhere. Of course, there is mind knowledge also, but there is pure essence which we all have. Provided we touch it, we don't touch it there. Why we are not able to touch that space of wisdom within us? Because we are busy focusing on the external wisdom. We are busy in the quotes, in the teachings, in philosophies, in shastras, in what this one said, in the opinion of people, in the conflicts, in the vivada of Quran, Bhagavad Gita, um, and the Holy Bible. We are lost in all these, or we are lost about the Vijnana, the science. It's not. Only when we give up all this can the awareness turn inside. When it turns inside on that nothingness which has nothing to hold on, but that presence, you are meditating on Shiva. You do this on the hill and see what will happen. Without any concepts, don't hold anything, don't take any form, don't do any chanting, don't connect to any puja, nothing. You sit on this and this, what I'm telling you, this effulgence, this presence. Just rest on that and see what happens. Usually the mind will not be able to, because there is so much of programming. That is why I'm doing so many webinars here. To kill all those concepts, you have to destroy every concept. You have to heal, you have to release all those memories. All the earlier teachings, everything should just be wiped out and sit blank. If not, it will trouble you. You want to meditate on the effulgence inside, your mind will pop up something and you will chase that. And you're sitting and you're meditating on Arunachala. Suddenly one form will come. Shiva's form will come. You'll start chasing that form. It is outward in your mind. It is formless actually. It is being. Like in today's Ramana's one quote I put, Bhagavan Ramana says, seeing is not true. Being is true. Seeing is not true. Being is true. Seeing is this. You open your eyes, you see. You close your eyes, you still see. God, Guru Mandalas, deities, everything will be seeing. That is not true. What is true? Being. When you be. That experience of being, you're abiding in the self. Like Papaji, who came there and who was telling that I am having darshana of Krishna. I'm meditating on the hill. And when he was meditating on the hill, he denied being in the presence of Bhagavan Ramana. Papaji, Punjaji, he was a saint, of a well stature. But he said, what should I do here in silence? He went on the hill and he was doing his sadhana. He had this mantra, Maha mantra of Lord Krishna. So he used to do that japa and he used to get visions, the darshan of Krishna. And one day he said, why is he sitting, Ramana, sitting there and silent? He should enjoy these things. I should go and tell him that this is the meditation or the sadhana that can be done, and you can have visions of God. I'm not telling exactly the story. You can refer to the stories on Google or whatever. So he goes to tell this to Bhagavan Ramana. And Bhagavan Ramana asks, where were you? He says, I was enjoying in my darshan. So what did you have? He says, I have this vision of Krishna. I see him and I interact with him and it's blissful. And Bhagavan Ramana asks, do you see him now? He pauses and he checks out and he says, not now exactly. So Bhagavan Ramana says immediately, that which appears will disappear. That which appears and disappears is not real. Catch that which never appeared, which never disappeared. What does he say? Somewhat on similar lines again, you can check it out, the quote, but it's very similar. He says, that which appears has to disappear. Opposite mein aa gaya na, appear means disappear. Hot, cold, two will come. Birth, death. So appear, that which appears has to disappear. That which appears and disappears is not real. How can it be real? Aaj hai, kal nahi hai. Today it is in this format, tomorrow it is in that format. It cannot be real. Catch that which is real. What is real? That which never appears, that which never disappears. It doesn't have to disappear because it was always there. It doesn't have to appear because it was always there. Without birth, without death. What is that? Self. This effulgence. What we are naming as Shiva. And Bhagavan Ramana points out, the one who is seeing it, the one who is seeing that which appears and disappears has always been there. That is the one. That which you are seeing is a vision of Krishna or anybody. It comes and it goes. You see, I saw my Guru, I saw my Guru Mandal, I saw Shiva, I saw Parvati, I saw God. Okay, you see, but it goes also. This comes and goes, but what remains all the time? This awareness is all the time there. This awareness of yours, which saw that thing appear, means that awareness is seeing it appear, means that awareness was there before it appeared. That is why you can see, it can tell it was not there, but it came. So awareness is first or that appearance is first? Tell me. Which precedes? Awareness already exists. So it knew it is not there. Now it knows it appears. Then it knows it disappears. And see Bhagavan Ramana, what he points out. That which you're seeing is not real, what you call as God. But the seer is real. The seer is God. That is that awareness. You bring your awareness to that. That has always existed in this body, in previous body, as a child's body, as an old body. It will exist even after death, that awareness. It will exist even when it enters another body. It has always been existing. That is God. So he says, those who want the finite being who desires to realize this self should dive within himself and meditate on the Supreme Self who will give the knowledge, and the ego will vanish. On hearing these kind words, I became humble and began to reflect. Who? Brahma. Knowledge of Shiva can be attained only through Shiva's grace. Listen to this carefully. What I've been re-emphasizing all these years. Knowledge of Shiva means knowledge of the self, self-knowledge, Atma Gyan, Brahma Gyan. huh? Knowledge of the Shiva can be attained only through the self-grace or Shiva's grace, not through the Vedas, not through austerities, not through the holy dips in the holy waters. Clear? Means not through any karma kanda. You go and dip yourself in Narmada or Ganga, or you do austerities, this puja, that homa, this havan, that tantra, whatever you do, all these austerities, nor by the recitation of the great holy scriptures or Vedas or Puranas or Upanishads. You go on reciting all these loud chants. Knowledge of Shiva can be attained only through his grace, the self grace, not through the Vedas, not through austerities, not through the holy dips in the holy waters. So, Brahma, even though my wings are tired and my limbs are too weak to move, my mind still desires to nourish the ego. See, isn't this Brahma about us? Now, do you get it? Whenever we talk about Arunachala, all these stories are very prominent in Arunachala. They keep talking about it. But the real meaning, the devotees of Bhagavan Ramana were surrendered to him by his grace. The depth of this will come, and you'll read the story, but you'll reflect inside. So, Brahma is the ego that is saying, even though my wings are tired, limbs are too weak to move, my mind is still nourishing the ego. Mind still desires to keep the ego alive. This is what we must pinpoint at. This willingness to keep ourselves alive, existent, as some or the other form. I want to always exist. I might say, no, I am doing this sadhana, that sadhana. Is it for non existence? You will not find anybody doing sadhana for non existence. They want to exist as someone, maybe as a holy yogi. I become a divine yogi, or I become a saint, I become a guru, I become someone. That identity is not gone. So the existence, that is ego. That is what he is meaning to say here. Even though my wings are tired and limbs are weak to move, my mind still desires to nourish my ego. And then he says, alas, always active and dependent upon the strength of the non-self, I have become despicable. Despicable. So always depending on my false strength, non-self, he says, I have become despicable. My salutations to the Siddhas who have fixed their mind upon Shiva. Now he's viewing the great mighty giants who are always meditating on their self, like Bhagavan Ramana. Bhagavan Ramana always used to abide in the self. He's always meditating not on a form. Shiva as a form in the mind, not that. The one who sees that form. Okay, this is the biggest challenge that I find with whomever I sit with in whatever programs we do. The biggest challenge to give up the form. And I keep giving the example of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, when even he longed to have oneness with Ma Kali, and he used to wonder why, even despite my so much of worshipping and so much of closeness that she talks to me, we are so close, why do I still feel separate from you, Ma? And that is when Totapuri's guru comes in. That incident happens where he says, the image Pratibimba, that Vikalpa of Mahakali is what is keeping you far. You have it as an image. That image has to be killed. And he says, I cannot. Then he says, Totapuri, even I cannot help. Then Ramakrishna pleads, no, you have to do this because I know I was praying to my mother. What is the solution? And you came that time. So I know you are the solution. I am not going to leave you. Then he says, you better listen. As the Guru Tattva, listen. Then he agrees. And finally, many attempts he is not able to, because the moment he sees the mother, he goes into samadhi. He is into a blissful state, enjoying that form. And the Guru is giving an instruction, cut that form, cut that form. And finally, when he is not able to awake himself, Totapuri takes a glass piece and cuts it. See this point, what we are talking. He cuts this. Immediately with pain, Ramakrishna comes out. Because Sharir Bodha. He was losing his body consciousness and floating in samadhi. But that pain brought him back to the body senses. Now he could hear the Guru. And that's an indication of opening the third eye. The divine eye with which you see. And that's what you are calling the Jnana Agni, the path of wisdom, the Jnana Marga. That opens there. The wisdom, see what is an illusion. So Ramakrishna is now in the body consciousness, and then the Guru says, cut that form. And Ramakrishna says, I can see the form, but how do I cut that form? He says, with a sword, cut that form. Now Ramakrishna is asking, where shall I get that sword from? And Totapuri says, the same place where you got the form of the mother from. Mind. Mind created a projection. Now he says, create a sword from the mind projection, and with that one projection, kill the other projection. That is what I keep saying. One concept can kill the other concept. Use such a concept in life here in the Arunachala Tattva, it should kill all your other concepts. Bring the Devi Kalotra in life. Those who are earner seekers, only telling them, I don't want to tell everybody. Those who are intense, like struggling like Ramakrishna. That oneness, to have that oneness. This Vikalpa is the problem. So take Devi Kalotra, that's your concept. That's your sword. With that sword, cut out all the other concepts. Every other concept with the dhairya that Shiva is only giving you that wisdom. You cannot distrust that. It's coming from Shiva. That let that be your final concept. So the sword, with the sword, he cuts, and the moment he cuts, there's an explosion of non-dual awareness. One awareness, where there is no one to be aware of the other. Till now there was a devotee aware of the devoted, of a god, goddess. Now there is no two. So he goes into that state for 3 days in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. See, Nirvikalpa. Vikalpa is projection. Nirvikalpa, no projection. Absolutely, when the mind is no projection. And that state of non-dual, that is the self. When everything goes, what remains is the self. So here he's now weaving my salutation. He's saluting all the Siddhas who have fixed their mind upon Shiva. So fix their mind on Shiva doesn't mean affirm, like Ramana, self, non-dual awareness on that. I shall associate with them and perform austerities. So he says, like the Siddhas did, I will also perform austerities. I shall turn my mind inward and realize this effulgence of Shiva which appears in front of me. The Devas have conquered their enemies by worshipping Shiva and have crowned themselves with their glory. Even the great Vedic mantras do not throw light on his reality. Therefore, I shall seek refuge with Shiva. I came into being through devotion to Shiva who wears the crescent moon. Ah, how strange that with the egos born of Shiva, both Vishnu and I fought with each other, and that Shankara himself revealed his greatness and humbled our pride. He who worships the eternal Shiva, who is worshipped, who is the Lord worshipped by the Devas as the column of light of consciousness, realizes Shiva and serves as a boat to cross the ocean of samsara. So this ends this chapter. But one thing I'll just point out here, There are two beings, there are two tattvas, Brahma, Vishnu. In here, you can see Brahma is telling, I am thinking about the Siddhas. I salute all the Siddhas who are meditating on Shiva, maybe the form also, and I shall now perform austerities. I'll do tapas, he's saying. So you can see one aspect, Brahma is wanting to do tapas, austerity. What we are talking is not needed, effort, Brahma Tattva. The other aspect, Vishnu, he says, he's intelligent. It pointed out, right? He's intelligent. He understood effort is not going to work. He just gives up and immediately he wins the grace of Shiva. He realizes. Do you understand this too? Brahma and Vishnu. One aspect is that which now has realized, oh, I am not supreme. This is my ego. There is a Lord supreme, but I am going to worship him. I am going to do my tapas. I am going to strive and attain that realization. That is one part. He will also realize it. But there is Vishnu who instantly realized my effort is not going to do any work. I give up and I realize the Shiva is light. So, this is the story which you have heard so many times, and this is the in depth meaning of the story where Brahma and Vishnu fought, and Shiva came and solved their problem and glorified. He's not glorifying himself. Look, you two are not great, I am great. He's not doing that. He's simply telling them, you are born out of me only. If I am not there, you are not there. Simple as that. So, because I exist, you exist. Like what I had said, Shakti cannot exist without Shiva. It is the light of Shiva only that penetrates through Shakti and makes her do. Who is Shakti? We only. So today, when we are saying, I am doing this, I am doing that, it is due to the light of my awareness only that I am able to do anything. Even if I am feeling helpless, by the light of awareness only, I feel helpless. By the light of awareness only, I feel lost. Do you feel lost when you're sleeping? However lost or helpless you are, you'll never feel it because there the awareness is absent. When you are aware only, that whole product, that whole identity stands up and again it starts playing that role of being a hopeless person, of being a lost person, ignorant person, or the wise person and the nice person and the divine person. Both are plays. But at night, shant, no game at all. So let us become aware of today's session, the second chapter also which we finished. Now, the next chapter that we continue tomorrow is Parvati's penance at Kanchipuram. And finally, how Gauri arrives at Arunachala. Fourth chapter. Third chapter is how Parvati is doing her penance in Kanchipuram. And from there, she finally comes to next chapter. Fourth chapter is Gauri arrives at Arunachala. And from there, her journey there. So, again, I'm telling the Parvati meditating here, there, and coming closer to the vicinity is us. Moving closer and closer, doing tapas and moving closer. The challenges, coming to unite with the self, means we are going inward, more inward. Okay, we'll discuss more on that in the coming days with the grace of Arunachala Shiva and Bhagwan Ramana. Let us become aware of the grace in our lives. Let us become aware of the Tattvainas that listens through the ears, sees through the eyes. Let us realize the light in us that is at play. We have assumed this role of whatever we are, and we are stuck in this identity. All that we need is a shift into awareness. One shift into awareness, and I realize I am not this identity. I am this light, this awareness that illuminates this identity and continues playing it. You can even meditate on this simple things. Shift into awareness and stay there and realize I am this presence. One moment back, I was in that identity. I shifted into this presence. I use my body, my intellect, my senses. I'm the user of this. I'm not that. I'm the user of this body. I'm spread as a presence in all my senses. Though I realize I'm stuck. I realize the power of karma or whatever bondage. But even in that realization, I know it will dissipate. It is not forever. Slowly, I am dissipating by the grace, and I am moving closer and closer to realizing my true self. Slowly, it is dissipating. This realization, there is this power of Maya or karma acting on my life, but it is dissipating. The more I shift into awareness and abide in the awareness, the more I'm able to dissipate this, the more I'm able to realize. See, there you'll get good power. There you'll get good support. Even if you do it for a few minutes, you'll see in those few minutes you'll be free from the shackles of the mind. So that shows when you abide in awareness, you are directly in touch with that force within you, which is grace. By grace only you can do this. Because you need interest to do this. Interest is given by Him only. So just today, let's realize this presence, which is grace in us, and it's working so beautifully. Why grumble and complain? It's taking, I am enjoying my journey. There is no hurry. Whatever is unwinding, I'm keeping or I'm trying to keep a watch. I might drift again into the mind, but I shift back into awareness. By grace, I know this will keep on increasing. In the grace, I trust, not in my effort. So, meditating on this, the feeling of gratefulness, I feel deeply thankful and grateful. Become fully aware of that gratefulness, the bhava arising, that bhava converting into devotion, pure love, pure surrender, and see how it melts. The whole thing melts. I trust in thee. Where is Shiva now? Is he far? It's here, right here. It's in the experience, like Bhagavan Ramana says. Not in seeing anything. It's in the being. Right now you're in the being. You just be. And not through words, like Hari, not through thoughts, Madhyama, but through Pashyanti, feelings. Feel. Feel the emotion. Vibrate. This vibration is the closest form of prayer that you can send to the next level, Paravani, the silence, in which he exists. Vaikhari, remember, is very far. Madhyama is very far, thoughts are far. Praying by words, praying by thoughts are good, but they're far. Most powerful is feeling. Feel, bhava. So you convey not by saying or thinking anything, you convey thankfulness just by feeling. You convey love by feeling. He receives it faster. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadhyachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we all be blessed. May we all evolve. May we all be free. Arunachala Shiva. See you tomorrow at 9.